It's time for the Windbound review for the Nintendo Switch. I don't usually pre-order games unless I'm convinced it will be worth the risk, and this just happened to be one of those games. Now, I didn't think it would be a phenomenal gaming experience, but it looked fun enough. Was it able to tread the waters, or did it drown? Let's find out. Before I dive into it, I just need to preface by saying I experienced the base game before the current free DLC and patches came out. However, because this review will showcase the latest content, I will be judging it with the DLC accordingly. You play as an islander named Kara, who is seen battling winds and huge ocean swells with her tribe. After almost drowning, she awakens in a mysterious place with a huge bright vortex beckoning her. Once she passes through, she wakes up on an island with only her clothing and knife, and it's up to you to help her figure out what happened to her people. This is a procedurally generated survival adventure game. As you begin to explore, you'll find basic resources you can collect, such as rocks, thick grass, and sticks. Depending on the island, and map for that matter that was generated for your playthrough, you'll find other resources, wildlife, and enemies. There are 5 levels in the entire game, but getting to the next level is dependent on your ability to be resourceful. In each level, you'll need to first find and activate 3 beacons, each one on a different island scattered throughout the map, then make your way to a final island where you're able to proceed to the next level. You could swim to each island, but this is inefficient. Crafting a boat is one of the first objectives you'll need to accomplish. You'll start with a basic rowboat, but you'll eventually be able to build bigger and faster seacraft. Each level is basically a large archipelago, but only certain islands are beneficial to you. Some are just rocks sticking out of the water, while the ones you'll actually want to travel to contain valuable resources. Acquiring specific resources won't be readily available until you construct certain tools, and hunting or battling is easier if you've crafted the right weapons. Kara doesn't have a crafting list or guide. Instead, new recipes will become available when specific resources are gathered. I'm 50-50 on whether I like this. On one hand, having a list or book to let me know what I can potentially make from the beginning is beneficial in that I don't have to blindly collect resources in the hopes of being able to craft something helpful. On the other hand, I suppose it makes it more realistic in that Kara doesn't know what is craftable until she gathers specific resources. I guess not knowing is actually better because it complements the survival aesthetic. Below Kara's health meter is a stamina meter, and her maximum stamina will continue to drop due to her level of hunger. Finding food and hunting is crucial to your survival. Not only can you gain meat off kills, but certain enemies can drop rare resources, which you can then turn into valuable items. Staving off hunger is a constant threat, and cooking meat is more beneficial to your health and stamina than eating it raw. You can also find edible, ready-to-eat vegetation, but again, cooking them can lead to better results. After you complete a level, you'll be transported to an area where you're able to exchange previously found sea shards for unique upgrades, which can be special weapons or character bonuses. You're only able to choose one upgrade at a time, so choose wisely. Before starting a new game, you can choose which difficulty you'd like to play on. In Adventure Mode, if you die, you'll retain all your resources, items, and boats, but you'll have to start the entire level over again. Even if you've found and activated all 3 beacons, if you haven't actually proceeded to the next level and die, you will have to restart the whole level. And because this is a procedurally generated game, the new map you start up in will be completely different. Now, I highly enjoy games with random or procedurally generated levels, but believe me when I say that dying after you've spent around 2 hours island hopping and activating all 3 beacons is extremely frustrating. I have to do all that again? However, this would be even worse if you played on a higher difficulty, where the penalty for death is losing a lot of your gear. The only silver lining of starting over is that you're able to change your special upgrade if you'd like. The graphics look pretty good, however there were some pop-ins and outs on specific assets when getting closer to an island. There were also quite a few graphical glitches throughout, like textures not being able to render instantly. Moving and interacting as Kara isn't difficult, but the menu-based controls take a bit to get used to in certain situations. Like here, I'm rifling through my items between 2 inventory menus, and if I highlight the right-sided menu by pressing the R button, I instinctively press the L button to switch back, but no, I have to press R again. I also didn't like that the cursor within a menu would default to the far right cell once I've collected or moved an item into a different container. If I'm trying to sort my items by moving them, I would have to move the cursor from the far right back to the next item I want. This is just bad design. One of the biggest problems of the game is the stuttering frame rate. It seemed to happen at any time and was quite annoying when you were engaged in battle. Sometimes you'd get full-on pauses and have to wait for it to wake up. This just decreases the overall fun of the game, and it's disappointing the devs haven't patched it as of this review. The music is a highlight, but also a lowlight. There's no music when you're exploring an island, only when you're sailing or nearing the end of a level. However, specific instruments begin to play once you get close to wildlife or an enemy. This was a pretty cool feature, and it can help you be aware of potential ambushes. The only thing I didn't really like was that the sailing song isn't that long and it loops over and over, which can make it dull after hearing it so many times. The game has a handful of small to moderate negative points, but one positive is the DLC. Besides patches, new weapons, outfits, and fighting techniques are available, as well as encountering new enemies. A noticeable upside is that back in the base game, once you activated all 3 beacons, you could just head to the final island to proceed to the next level. Now there's a boss fight beginning on level 2 that you must defeat in order to progress. It's a really good thing 3 waves of updates and DLC have come through as of this review, because I remember the base game being kind of bland and empty. What you've mostly seen in this review so far was available in the base game, but the improvements and extras now available have enhanced the experience quite a bit. Windbound offers a fun experience exploring islands and sailing the open sea, all the while gradually uncovering an interesting story. I'm happy the DLC and bug fixes have increased the overall gameplay from the base game, however the devs seriously need to address the stuttering and at times pausing frame rate issues, as well as a few changes to make navigating inventory menus less frustrating. It's a fine game, but various aspects need to be polished in order for it to become great. Overall, if you enjoy survivor crafting adventures, you should give Windbound a try. This game gets a 3.5 out of 5 with the title of good.